All right, let's step back in time. We're going on a journey into the bustling, steamy world of a Roman bathhouse. But we're not just here to look around. We're going to peel back the layers and understand the incredible systems, both economic and engineering, that made these places tick, and what they tell us about an entire empire.
So picture this. You're walking the busy, cobbled streets of ancient Rome, and you arrive at your destination. The air just changes. It gets thick with steam, and you catch this faint, clean scent of olive odor soap. You see, this wasn't just a place to get clean. It was a total sensory experience, an escape from the nonstop noise of the city. And it all starts with that first impression.
So let's dive right into our first big idea, what I like to call Rome's warm economy. Because in a city like ancient Rome, even something as simple as hot water and a bit of warmth was part of this huge, bustling economic machine. Nothing, and I mean nothing, was ever truly free.
And that's really the heart of it, this warm economy. Before you could even dream of kicking back and relaxing, you are already reaching for your pouch of bronze coins. There was the small entry fee, maybe a little tip for an attendant, or, maybe even a little something extra to get a better spot by the pool.
The moment you push through those doors, you're hit with this wall of sensation. You hear the hiss of steam rising from the pools, the constant low chatter of people in tunics ranging from simple wool to these really rich blues and yellows, and you smell that unique mix of wood smoke from the furnaces and the fancy oils a vendor is selling nearby.
So you have to wonder, how did the Romans create this incredible warm oasis right in the middle of a massive city? Well, the answer is a straight-up marvel of engineering. It's this hidden world of fire and air, working away non-stop right under your feet. It just goes to show how much they valued large-scale public comfort.
The secret ingredient to all this was the hypocaust system. Basically, it was an ancient form of central heating, but on a mind-boggling scale. A giant furnace would generate all this heat, and then they had this genius way of channeling it to warm the entire building from the ground up.
So here's the breakdown of how it worked. You've got a furnace that's being stoked constantly, creating this intense heat. All that hot air gets pushed into a hollow space under the main floor, which was held up by these little pillars. The heat would radiate up, warming the marble, and even travel through hollow bricks inside the walls before getting vented out. I mean, it's just a brilliant piece of design. They really got it.
But here's the thing. This paradise of relaxation was built on a foundation of some serious, intense labor. While all the patrons were lounging around upstairs, there was this whole unseen workforce in constant motion down below. You had engineers checking the heat flow, furnace workers feeding the fires, and slaves hauling endless buckets of water to keep the temperatures just right.
Okay, now let's wander into the corridors, where this whole other microeconomy was just thriving. The bathhouse wasn't just a spa, it was practically a shopping mall, where the business of getting clean was bought and sold right there in the steam.
You could find pretty much everything you needed, and a whole lot of stuff you didn't. You had vendors selling scented soaps and perfumed oils. You could buy a strigil, that's a curved metal scraper they use to clean their skin. You could even catch up on the latest news by buying a papyrus scroll from a guy in the corner. But the cost of things here wasn't always about coins. Sure, entry was a bronze token, but a nicer towel? That'd take a tip. Want to snag a prime bench by the warmest pool? Well, that might take some social currency. Knowing the right person, calling in a favor, or just a quiet bribe. Some places even had subscriptions, kind of like a gym membership.
And let's just focus on that little token for a second. This small piece of bronze was so much more than money. It was your ticket. It was your passport to a world of warmth and calm, a quick but absolutely essential escape from the noise and chaos of Roman life.
Okay, so you have the amazing engineering and the little marketplace, but the baths were also something else, something much bigger. They were the great social stage of Rome. This is where everyone, from every level of society, came together. It created this complex mix of status, networking, and of course, a ton of gossip. It was the original social network, no question.
And the social hierarchy was on full display. The wealthier citizens would show up in these fine, teal-lined robes, get preferential treatment, and maybe even use a separate entrance with gilded doors. Then you had most families, arriving in simple, plain wool, using the main shared spaces. So in one way, the baths brought everyone together, but they also made it very clear who was who.
So what was the real point of the baths? Was it just about getting clean? Or was it about networking, doing business, and playing politics? The truth is, it was all of those things, all at once. And that's what made them so essential to the very fabric of Roman life.
I mean, if you could have been a fly on the wall, you would have heard the business of the entire empire being done right there, in the steam. People talking about the latest political scandal, gossiping about a senator, making bets on the next chariot race. You even had business deals being sealed in the heat of the warm room.
But as the day starts to end and the crowds begin to thin out, the whole feel of the bathhouse changes. That bustling, crazy energy just fades away, and it becomes a place for quiet reflection. As the sun sets, the energy just shifts. That constant roar of chatter becomes a soft murmur, and then silence. The golden mosaics that were sparkling in the sun now have this soft, warm glow, and the whole place suddenly feels huge and empty.
Now zoom out over time, and nature starts to take it all back. Ivy crawls over the walls, weeds push up between the marble stones. What happened every evening eventually became permanent. As the empire started to fray, the aqueducts that fed these places were cut, and those great furnaces finally went cold.
And in that quiet, all that's left are these simple, elemental sounds. The echoes of 1,000 conversations are replaced by the soft, steady drip of water from a broken fountain. It's a sound that connects you, right now, to all the centuries of life that passed through these halls before they went silent.
And that's where we'll leave it, in this space that's somewhere between history and a dream. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? If these warm, ancient stones could talk, what stories would they tell us? What deals, what secrets, what everyday moments of an empire at the absolute height of its power would they share?